Hello, this is another video by T. Chase. I have a website called Revelation13.net about predictions of the future and prophecies, biblical and Nostradamus and so forth. What I'll talk about here is the subject of the afterlife. Is there life after death? On my website, there's a page, King James 17F, where I show the King James Version Bible code related to Leslie Flint. Leslie Flint was a psychic medium in England who had an amazing ability to have deceased spirits in the afterlife speak through him. The afterlife is said to be an invisible place near Earth with 7 spheres or levels. People can also reincarnate from there, returning to Earth for another lifetime. You can see his videos on YouTube. My favorite video on him is where Jeremiah, an English soldier in Oliver Cromwell's army, who died about 1640, speaks through him with great wisdom. On Leslie Flint, check out his channel on the Leslie Flint videos, and refer to leslieflint.com, the new Leslie Flint Trust videos on YouTube, and the book Life After Death by Neville Randall, which talks about Leslie Flint. Now, I tried using the King James Version English Bible code related to Leslie Flint, where I look for a matrix in the King James Version Bible using search words, and very often you find interesting words in the matrix. So using, in the New Testament, search words Leslie and Flint, I found this New Testament matrix, and I've underlined words in it. It's from Revelation 13:11 to Revelation 21:17. Note I've underlined, and he spake, and a dead man come out of the mouth, the voice of a great multitude out of his mouth, earth and the heaven are passed away. What Leslie could actually do is people who are dead would actually speak through him, but not through his voice coming out of his actual voice. It would be like the words came out near him, but actually not from him. They'd actually come out of the air close to him. And you'll see a great number of videos on YouTube where they describe this. You'll hear Leslie Flint recordings. Now, here's another matrix on Leslie Flint. Leslie Flint is now deceased, but he made a great number of recordings of these, doing his psychic readings, acting as a psychic medium. This was a New Testament matrix, was found in Acts 7:58 to Galatians 1:5, using search words Leslie and Flint. And note, you see, I've underlined resurrection of the dead, is revealed from heaven, and I speak with tongues in death and mouth. Certainly interesting words on the subject. Now, I can recommend for you some related books if you want to read more on the afterlife, and I'll mention them here. The idea being that a lot has been written on the afterlife and life after death. There are a lot of sources, including near-death experiences, or NDE, where people have a close call with death and come back and describe what they saw. There's also ITC, electronic communication by radio, TV, or recordings. Also psychic mediums, and that would be the case of Leslie Flint. Leslie Flint being unusual in being a direct voice medium, where the people would actually speak, not through him, but next to him, in their own voices, not his voice. Also psychic mediums, and also some religions discuss this, such as Christianity itself discusses it a bit, that suggest that the afterlife, where we go after death, is a real world with 7 levels, near death extending into space but invisible to people on Earth. People don't age there and stay about 20 to 30 years old. People can reincarnate to Earth from there and can advance to higher levels. Children that die young grow over there to become adults. It seems to be a friendly, no-competition world where everyone has housing and what they need. There are magazines, books, videos, and websites on the afterlife. Psychic News, a UK magazine on psychic spiritualism and communication with the dead. Most interesting is discussion on Leslie Flint, now deceased psychic, who deceased people, including Chopin, Gandhi, and others, spoke through. Not his voice, but a voice box forms next to him. Listen to the amazing Leslie Flint videos on YouTube at the channel New Leslie Flint Trust. Now some recommended books. Proof of Heaven by Eben Alexander, written by a doctor who almost died from a brain infection, reporting an amazing near-death experience. After We Die, What Then? By George Meek. This electronics expert built a machine to communicate with the dead. An amazing story. He also has videos on YouTube. The Ghost of 29 Megacycles by John G. Fuller, about George Meek's efforts to build a machine to communicate with the dead. The Afterlife Unveiled by Stafford Betty, a college professor's serious study of the afterlife. Good reading. Very readable. Very interesting. Life Beyond Death by David Fortana, an English college professor's study of the afterlife literature. Ultimate Journey by Robert A. Monroe, a book series on out-of-body travel. And The Road to Immortality by Geraldine Cummins, communications through a psychic medium from the afterlife. The Afterlife by Jenny Randles and Peter Ho, who, on the afterlife and communication with it. Life Beyond Death by Reader's Digest on the afterlife, many articles in it. Survival of Death by Peter Brooksmith on the afterlife, another very interesting series of articles related to the afterlife and survival of death. An interesting book, Unfinished Symphonies, Voices from Beyond by Rosemary Brown. Rosemary Brown, an Englishwoman, now deceased, was able to channel original music from great composers such as Beethoven and Chopin, although she had just a little bit of piano training herself. There are videos on YouTube on this. Unbelievable as it sounds, I think this was for real. The music did seem to be something these composers would write. Some music experts evaluated the music and were impressed with it. She said that Beethoven, on the other side, has his hearing back and speaks some English now and is easier to get along with. YouTube videos, the New Leslie Flint Trust, including particularly interesting is Jeremiah, who was in the English Civil War. Jeremiah said he was killed in battle. That's channeled by Leslie Flint. although Cromwell did win this war against the English king and established himself as England's dictator, this being the only time England in its history did not have a king or queen. After Cromwell, the monarchy was restored. Jeremiah speaks well in 1600s English, similar to the English of King James Bible. He speaks of being on earth for hundreds of years since he was killed in battle. Also interesting are recordings with Rose, the London flower seller. 4 recordings over more than 20 years where you see Rose's education and evolution on the other side. Website leslieflint.com. And also see the book Life After Death by Neville Randall, which discusses Leslie Flint's recordings. And also see the video on research of George W. Meek. On YouTube, there are videos by George Meek on his Life After Death research, such as Research of George W. Meek. Also see Dr. Eben Alexander talks about his near-death experience, Proof of Heaven interview with Dr. Eben Alexander. So, here's some recommended books and videos to look at on these subjects. Thank you.